Okay, lesson 15, rates. Don't get worked up about rates. It's exactly what we've been doing all along, like 2 minutes per lap, or $10 per person to get into a movie, or 80 kilometers an hour. You're just measuring one thing against another, okay? So the one thing is when you see 80 kilometers per hour, right? How many hours do they mean? They mean 1 hour, but it's silly to write 80 kilometers per 1 hour. We know that it's 80 kilometers per hour. That's how you say it, okay? So you might see it written as per 1 hour, but in regular everyday talking, we never say $80 per one person, or per hour, or per 1 minute. You just, basically you state the unit and they assume that it's one, right? So find the equivalent, the first one, find the equivalent rate by first drawing arrows. So they've got 10 kilometers per 2 hours, and then 5 kilometers per 1 hour, okay? So which way does the arrow go if we're gonna multiply, right? Well, I didn't multiply 10 and came out with 5. I multiplied 5 and came out with 10. So my arrow is going that way. And what did I multiply 5 by? 5, 10. I multiplied it by 2. And obviously the same thing happens on the bottom, okay? So in the next questions, you're gonna draw in your arrows and say what it was multiplied by, okay? So the second one, they have 18 kilometers per 3 hours is how many kilometers per 1 hour? Okay, so I definitely multiplied 1 by something, right? I didn't multiply 3 by something to get 1. So we're going this way. How did I get from 1 to 3? How many 1s make 3? Times 3, right? So this one, I need a number that times 3 gives me 18. So how many 3s make 18? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. 6. So 6 kilometers in 1 hour is 18 kilometers in 3 hours. Okay? This is the only tricky part, when you have to figure out what times this makes that. So count by your number that you know you multiplied by to figure out what that was. Okay? I feel like maybe I should do one more with you. 20 meters is in 8 seconds is how many meters in 2 seconds? Okay. I definitely didn't go from 8 to 2, so I went 2 to 8. How did I get from 2 to 8? 2, 4, 6, 8. I times it by 4. So this number times 4 has to equal 20. So how many 4s make 20? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. 5 of them. Okay? That should give you a good start on getting number 1 done. Pause the video. Okay, number 2, find the unit rate by reducing the ratio to lowest terms. Okay, so you've got 20 kilometers. Oh, no, they don't have it written like that. Per 5 hours, right? But this is actually 20 over 5. And we need to get it down to something over 1 because we need this 5 hours to be in lowest terms. And I know that 5 and 20 are both divisible by 5. So how did I get from 5 to 1? I divided by 5. So on the top, I'm going to divide by 5 as well. 20 divided by 5, 5, 10, 15, 20. There's 4. So that means that if I can go 20 kilometers in 5 hours, I can go 4 kilometers in 1 hour. Wow. That'd be a quick walk, I think. All right. So you go figure out, I'll do one more with you just to get you started. I'll pick one halfway through. So we have $30 per 2 hours, right? We want to get this down to 1. How do we get 2 down to 1? So 30 over 2 is what over 1? How did I get from 2 to 1? Well, let's go this way. How did I get from 1 to 2? I times it by 2, right? So something times 2 has to equal 30. The way I look at it as what is half of 30? Dividing it by 2. I know it's 15. Okay? So if I get $30 for 2 hours, I get $15 for 1 hour. Okay? Pause the video. Go to number 2. All right. 3, solve each problem by first changing the rate to a unit rate. So we're talking about down to per 1, right? Dana rode 100 kilometers in 5 hours. How many could she ride in 8 hours? So we've got 100 kilometers, 5 hours, right? And we want to know how far she could ride in 8 hours. Remember, my hours have to stay on the bottom. If they started on the bottom, they got to stay on the bottom. Can I go easily from 5 to 8? No, I cannot. So we're going to have to put a step in the middle here. We have to go down to the single unit, right? So we need to get this to 1. So how do I get from 1 to 5? I times it by 5. So this number times 5 has to equal 100. How many 5s make 100? How many nickels make $1? I know that 20 nickels make $1. Now, can I easily go from 1 to 8? Absolutely I can. What did I times 1? How many 1s make 8? Times 8. So you're going to times 8 up here, and you're going to find how far you could go in 8 hours. Okay? Next, go finish that, come back for part B. Okay, part B. Cindy can type 60 words in 3 minutes. How many words can she type in 5 minutes? So we want to know this number, right? So let's change it to a fraction. 60 words, 3 minutes. And we want to know how many words in 5 minutes. I can't easily go from 3 to 5. It's not, 5 is not a multiple of 3. So I've got to go back and add the step in the middle where I get to 1. How did I get from 1 to 3? Right? How many 1s make 3? 1, 2, 3. So I times this by 3. So that means that this number times 3 has to give me 60. So what times 3 gives me 60? What times 3 gives me 6? And then add the 0 on the end, right? So you're going to get a number in here. This times 3 gives me 60. Now, can I easily go from 1 to 5? Absolutely. I just times it by 5. So you're going to find this number, times it by 5, and get this number, and this is what they actually asked for. How many words can she, are we on words? Yeah, words she can type in 5 minutes. Okay? Go figure out question B. C, a runner's heart beats 30 times, so these are heartbeats, in 10 seconds. Okay? How many times would it beat in a minute? Oh, the tricky guys. They think we don't know how many seconds are in a minute. Oh my goodness. We're in grade 7. Okay, so 30 heartbeats in 10 seconds. Now, how many seconds are in a minute? I know that it's 60. Can I easily get from 10 to 60? Absolutely. I don't even have to go back to the 1 rate, but I'll do it just because they asked me to, okay? So equals what over 1? Well, how did I get from 1 to 10? I multiplied it by 10, which means that this number times 10, right, has to equal 30. So how many 10s make 30? 10, 20, 30. 3, right? Now, can I get from 1 to 60 easily? Sure, I can. I timesed it by 60. So up here, we're going to times it by 60. Now, don't be scared that it's 60. Pretend it's 6, and then add a 0 to your answer. 3 times 6, super easy, add a 0. And that is how many, whatever we're doing, how many times her heart beats in 60 seconds. Okay? Pause it, go finish question 3. Okay, question 4. Change both prices to a unit rate to find out which offers a better buy. I actually do this all the time in the grocery store when I'm trying to figure out, do I buy a big bag of flour or the small bag of flour that's on sale, right? You got to figure out per gram what is the better deal. So that's what we're going to do in 4. So change both prices to a unit rate to find out which offer is a better buy. So they have $119 for 7 CDs. Okay? So we got to get this down to a per 1, right? So I'm hoping that 7 goes into 119. Let me think about this. 119 divided by 7. 7 goes into 11 4 times, or 7 goes into 11 one time, which is 7 with 4 left over, and 7, so it's 17. So 7 goes into 17, 119, 7 times. 17 times, pardon me. Okay, so 119 to 7, so these are dollars to CDs, and I know that to get this to 1, right, I have to divide, this times this has to be 7, right? So this times 7 has to be 119, which means that this was 17. So that means that 1 CD is $17. You're going to do the second half, which is $64 for 4 CDs, right? So we've got 64 over 4 is what over 1? Remember, how did I get from 1 to 4? So figure out your missing number and then figure out what's better. This is $17 a CD. How much is this going to be? Okay? Go figure that out.
Ooh. Mrs. Crawford, I know the answer.
So you've got 3 to do for that one. Number 5. Claire can cycle at a speed of 23 kilometers an hour. Okay, so 23 kilometers per hour, right? This is Claire. Aaron can cycle at 17 kilometers per hour, right? How much farther can Claire cycle in 3 hours than Aaron? So we have to figure out how far each of them go in 3 hours. So if Claire can go 23 kilometers in 1 hour, how far can she go in 3? Okay, how do I get from 1 to 3? Do the same on the top. Aaron can go 17 in 1 hour. How far can she go in 3? Figure out your missing number. How did I get from 1 to 3? I timesed it by 3, so I'm going to do the same up here. So you're going to end up with a number that Claire can ride and a number that Aaron can ride. They want to know how much farther she can go than her. So I'm going to take this number and subtract that, and that'll give me the difference in how much farther Claire can go than Aaron. Okay? Pause the video, go do number 5. 2 left. Number 6. A truck travels 40 kilometers. Oh, the tricky buggers, they did it again. A half an hour. And a half an hour. You have to know how long half an hour is. How many minutes? Okay? So, a truck can travel 40 kilometers in half an hour. Okay? What is its speed in kilometers per hour? So we need to get this to 1 hour. Well, 40 over half, or I would write it as 0.5, right? Is what over 1? Well, how do I get from half to a whole and then multiply both, okay? So that's how far that the truck or that's the average speed of a truck in an hour, how far it goes. Okay? Second one, car travels 30 kilometers in 15 minutes. Ah, see, they're doing it to us again. They want to know per hour. So how many 15 minutes make an hour? So you have to figure out how many 15s. Remember, an hour is 60 minutes, right? So how many 15s make 60? 15, 30, 45, 60. Times 4, so you're going to times 4 on the top as well. Okay? And the last question. Estimate to the nearest half hour how long it would take to drive each distance. This is super easy. At 100 kilometers an hour. So if you have 254 kilometers per hour, right? How far can you go? How long would it take to drive 100 kilometers, right? So you can sit and work all this out, but just think about it. They're asking you estimate the nearest half hour. So your choices are only a whole hour or like 1.5 or a half hour. So if you're driving 100 kilometers every hour and you have 254 kilometers to drive, right? First 100 kilometers, an hour. Second 100 kilometers, an hour. 54 kilometers, that's really close to a half, right? So it's going to take 2.5 hours to drive 254 kilometers. Think about 700. How many hundreds go into 723? 7, right? But then you got the 23 minutes left over. So is that closer to 7 hours or is that closer to 7.5 hours? Right? And 1426. How many hundreds do you have? And then what's left over? You got 26. Is that close to a half hour or closer to the hour with no half? Okay? Finish those last 3 questions and you're done for today. Kylie?